Welcome to Breastfeeding is Natural, the podcast for health-conscious moms navigating the beautiful chaos of motherhood one gentle step at a time. I'm Nadine Devandi, a certified breastfeeding and lactation counselor, advocate for gentle parenting, and passionate supporter of natural remedies and traditional nutrition. Here, while we dive into expert tips for breastfeeding, practical advice for gentle parenting, solutions for everyday mom life struggles, and natural ways to support you and your baby. So grab your favorite drink, take a deep breath, and join me on this journey to thriving in motherhood. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. So, my name is Nadine, and I'm a certified breastfeeding and lactation counselor. And my goal for this podcast is to make you feel comfortable, to give you information, really valuable information for sure, that you can use in your motherhood journey and especially on your breastfeeding journey. So let's start with myself. Who am I? Why I'm doing this? So I hope you have your favorite drink with you. I do. I grabbed a cup of tea. I just brought my daughter, who is 2 years old, into bed. So she was nursing to sleep, as she does all nights. And I thought during this time, oh my gosh, I need a break, to be honest. Every mom's out there, I think, who have toddlers or babies or whatever, children in general, we deserve sometimes a break. And this is my break with you right now. So I'm I'm just thinking about my story and where shall I begin. As you maybe can tell, my first language is not English. I'm originally from Germany, and my husband and I moved 4.5 years ago to North America. And we started a whole new life. Back in Germany, we lived in a small village, had a house, next neighbors right next to us, and we decided we need more freedom, more space, more space to live the life that we want to live. So we moved to North America, and after a while we added 2 dogs to our family, and the names are Cookie and Peach, and really these are my first children. And 22, finally our daughter was born. She was born completely at home, just between my husband and I, so we had a free birth. And the way that led me to the free birth was really a rocky way. So we tried to conceive, of course, and after we conceived, I did, I think, 20 pregnancy tests because I couldn't believe it. And anyhow, they were positive all the time, and I was really early. So the first thing I did, of course, was calling the hospital, because what would you do? What else would you do? We are all taught that the hospital is where you get the care and where you get your baby. So that's what I did. I called the hospital, and I was way too early. So they told me, oh, mama, no, you're way too early. So we have to wait 2 or 3 more weeks until we get your first ultrasound and all the things that you need to do in the hospital. And I was really lucky about that. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. It was like, it's meant to be. I also have a really spiritual view on all the things in life, and I will share more about that, of course, in this podcast, but maybe not on this episode. So let's get back to the hospital. I had 3 weeks, and I was so excited because I'm born as a mother. I love to care, and I was always like, I will be a mother one day, and yeah. So for me, that was really a big deal. My husband was not ready for a long time. And basically waited for him. And I'm glad I did, because during this time, I really was evolving my personality. When I think back, and oh my gosh, if I would have our daughter in my early 20s, oh, I would mess her up, I think, because I thought I was ready, but I wasn't ready. So I'm glad I prepared, and really, there was a lot of things that I needed to get right before I became a mom. So I'm really glad my husband was like, we need to wait. And yes, but I was so excited when I noticed I'm pregnant. I was so excited. I was over the moon. So I thought, okay, these 3 weeks will be the hardest 3 weeks ever. So let's start. I will do a home birth anyway. That was always in my mind, because I knew I don't like hospitals, and I don't feel comfortable in hospitals with all the strangers. So I did some research. I started to listen to home birth podcasts, and on one of the home birth podcasts, someone mentioned the Freebirth Society. So if you don't know the Freebirth Society, I also, encourage you to check them out. They have a really good podcast about pregnancy and all the things. I heard the first time of them and decided to give it a try. I don't know. During this home birth podcast I listened, I was like, okay, they mentioned other stuff, but the Freebirth Society really stuck with me. So I gave it a try, listened to it, and I was over the moon, because I never thought I could give birth alone, just with the people I want at home, and it would be legal. So, of course, I checked the laws in the state that I'm living right now, but yeah, I was allowed exclamation marks, I was allowed to give birth on my own terms. So when I found out that, I was like, wow. And the next step I did was to get all the information I need about birth. What are all the care I can get from a hospital? Should I get it, or from an OB? Should I get it? Do I need to get it? And I figured out, wow, nothing that they offer is is interesting to me and does matter to me, because I knew that I would give to this baby birth anyway, no matter if she is healthy or not. And there's and there is a lot of controversial stuff about all the things hospitals or OBs offer. So maybe I will get into that in another episode. But I figured out for myself, wow, I like to give birth at home, just with my husband present. So I talked to him, and he was a little bit skeptical, not because he was not on board. He was just worried about my health in particular. And but we talked about everything. We educated ourselves, and in the end, we had this beautiful home birth, free birth, whatever you like to call it. I had no interventions. Have never seen an OB. I had a beautiful pregnancy. Really, I was just feeling great, walking outside and connecting with my baby and having the best time of my life. And then on the 28th of August 2022, I birthed her in the arms of my husband. And that was my start into motherhood. So we had this beautiful start, and I felt so good about everything. And then I tried to nurse her right after giving birth, but she was tired and she was not nursing first. And after a while, she latched on and was nursing, and it seemed to me everything was fine. I also did an online course about breastfeeding, so I knew what to expect. And that's also something I would encourage everyone out there who hasn't breastfed yet to do something like that. You can do an online course. You can also do, talk to a breastfeeding and lactation counselor like me and do a 101 course or whatever. So there are many options out there. And breastfeeding is natural, but at the same time, we don't see it often and we don't know what to expect and we don't know how it works. Basically, we don't know our own bodies. And this is why I'm also creating this podcast to show you how your body works and why it's important for everyone and to know how to breastfeed. So my breastfeeding journey started first pretty easy. So she was latching, she was nursing, and she seemed to be fine. But the first week, I struggled with the latch. I had sore nipples, and I was wondering why. And then I thought, oh, I will try to get some help. But in the end, we made it work. And after a week, the latch got better and I felt better. But during this time, I also joined the Freebirth Society. They have a community, and I joined them. And what I saw was really many mothers. There were more mothers struggling with breastfeeding than with giving birth. Because you need some skill to breastfeed, from my experience. And there is a lot out there that people think that's normal, but it's not normal. To have pain, for example, is never normal. So people think, oh, my nipple just need to toughen up and it takes a while. So no, it's usually a bad latch that causes the pain. So the only thing that it can be normal is in the beginning that you feel the letdown reflex for a few seconds, but that's it. If you have pain, something is wrong, and usually it's the latch or things like oral restrictions, all the things. So I saw in the community that there was a bad need for breastfeeding counselors. And I think they now have a breastfeeding counselor who does all the things and helps the mothers. But back then, it was really like crying mothers. They gave birth. They were over the moon without any intervention, without help, and so on. But then they started breastfeeding, and it really took a toll on them mentally, and they were sad. And I saw that, but I couldn't help because back then I wasn't a breastfeeding and lactation counselor. And when I got also on social media in all the communities, I saw so many mothers struggling about breastfeeding. And I felt that was my calling. I felt like, wow, someone needs to help this woman. And I decided to become a breastfeeding and lactation counselor. And for me, I just made this decision. My husband was totally on board, and I decided to look for someone who works evidence-based and does the training. And I found my mentors, Nina Abel and Steffi Weiss. They're both Germans, both IBCLCs, but also they started their own training in Germany. And it's called Deutsches Kompetenzzentrum für Laktation und Stillen, which is basically the German Center of Breastfeeding and Lactation. So short term is DKSL. And yeah, they work evidence-based. And really, I was drawn to them because I saw that they not only work evidence-based, they also center their work around the children. of course also the mother, but it's like the development, the brain development of children, and what is normal and what's not, and why it is. And also they have a huge, really huge knowledge about all the things. So I decided to sign up for them, and yeah, did my training. I think I became the first one who got the certificate. Yeah, when I'm right, together with someone else, because they were also brand new at that time. So it, I think we all learned a lot from each other, and I'm so glad I did all this training, because now I feel confident to help other mothers, evidence based, and to show them what is really going on with babies and why they are not latching and why there are issues. Because I think in our society, we have this picture of children or babies that just do what we think they should do. Like, oh, I birthed the baby, but now I will put it in a crib. Why is the baby crying? I don't get it. And oh, the baby nursed 2 times in a half hour. It can be hungry a third time, or so many things. Or why is my toddler having tantrums after? Yeah, I put them in daycare, or they had a really adventurous day. Why is my toddler having tantrums? Because that's not normal, isn't it? All the things. And I like to inform and educate people about the normal behavior and why our babies or toddlers, children behave like they do. So, and I think my passion for breastfeeding starts not only with my free birth with my daughter, it also started way before that. I think it started with my own birth. My mother was a smoker, and back then in 1986, I think the advertisement for formula was pretty good, I would say, and most women wouldn't breastfeed. I think today it's a little bit better. The advertisement, of course, still works, but back then it was no one would do that. So for her, I don't think she even thought about breastfeeding me. So I was birthed, I got formula, and I developed a cow's milk allergy. And it caused me diarrhea and all the things, and I almost died from it. Then my parents needed to get specialized formula. Back then, that was not normal. Today, it would be easier, but back then, they needed a doctor who was talking to the healthcare system that they would take over the cost for this formula, because it was really expensive, and it took them a while to work things out. And for my father, it changed his whole career. He decided to get another job to earn more money because of this, or it was at least a part of this. And I grew up with formula, of course, with all the other stuff like purees and the stuff you can buy, and a lot of sweets for sure. I also had a lot of sweets, especially from my grandmother, who came from Silesia, and this is a country that back then they didn't have many sweets, but they moved into the West and they were able to get sweets, and I think that was special for them, and she loved to give us treats. And I loved it. Of course, as a kid, I had so many sweets. But when I grew up, I noticed I have issues, gut issues, felt always tired, and felt like my brain felt like being in the cloud, basically. So I had to work through all the health issues that you can have with the guts. And I got dug really deep into supplementing and getting myself out there to be the best version of myself, at least the best version I can be, with everything I went through. So that's also where my passion comes from, for natural remedies, for supplementation. While I think the basic is a traditional diet that is really important, I think many of us women are depleted in many ways because this society is stressful and they expect a lot from all of us, no matter if you're a woman or a man. They expect way too much from us, and to juggle it all, basically, I dug deep. I found more people on my way, like Sarita Preisel, who's who lives in Austria and does an amazing job, really amazing job in helping children and breastfeeding mothers who are really struggling with eczemas and all the things. She also works evidence-based, and I did a training with her to learn more from her about supplementation and all the difficulties babies can have. Yeah, I think that's basically it. So that's all. That's my whole story. So it started with my birth and then the birth of our daughter. And then I became full cycle from my perspective with becoming a breastfeeding and lactation counselor. And on my way, I met so many amazing women who are doing such great things to help people out there. And with this podcast, I like to give something back to you and to share things with you that are, how should I say, that help you to thrive in your motherhood journey, that help you to feel seen, and that help you to feel comfortable in your own body again. I hope you enjoyed this first podcast episode, and I look forward to the next one where I will share way more stuff about breastfeeding. And I think we will start with nipple confusion or bottle preference, however you will call it. And I like to go deeper into that because I see so many women struggling with breastfeeding due to a nipple confusion or a bottle preference. So stay tuned for the next episode, and thanks for being here, and thanks for being you. Bye, my friend.